Oops.
What
Okay,
happened?
we're in the wrong mode.
What
There
happened
we
to my
go.
computer?
Oh my God.
It fell off just as we were coming
Uh,
on. We're total pros, right? We are
good morning,
pros. Hello.
Good morning, afternoon, whatever
Evening.
it may be.
Good night.
Yes, just to let everybody know. First off, I think I'm coming down with the coof, as Tara Smiling would say. So I'm not exactly on my game, but Shannon's going to be, because of the nature of this. This is also a trigger warning. This could possibly involve violence. So if you're triggered by such, please see to your own safety. We don't want to trigger
Yes.
anybody. We don't need the views that bad. Um,
Nope. Want everybody safe. And we have
but
so many people in the house today. First of all, thank you, Ximena, for being here.
yes,
I really
Thank you
appreciate
for
it.
inviting me.
yes, we have
And then,
Ximena here who's going to be
yes,
our guest today. That way. Um,
Thank
she's
man, that whole
beautiful.
mirror thing.
Yes. And wow, look at everybody we have.
you. Thank
Demetra's
you for the
Rabbit is
invitation.
here, and Jen
We got
Marie is
what?
here.
We got
Jen
Jason P.
Marie, I don't think I've seen her here before. Body Illusion, my girl.
Mm,
Dawn
yes, what?
Gloves. Jason P. I hope your wife is doing well. Plant Freak, so great to see you. It's been a while for you since I've seen you too. And I can't think of a better name. I can't think of a better name than that either. And if I missed anybody, I apologize. Oh, I live for now. Yes, I do. So that's it. Anyways,
Yes, and
so
a lot of people don't realize this. Body Illusion, as a mod, she has access to an orbital cannon. She's able to zap trolls, and they like poof, they just explode in the.
yes,
So yes, she's quite a
she, she
hockey
caught her first
hockey
troll.
That's
So
John, my friend. He's great.
hockey town John. Great to see you,
He's a
oh,
good friend of mine. Yeah.
oh,
Jen
great.
Marie.
I brought support.
That's
So
great.
yes,
I'm glad
it's
you brought support. Oh, Miss Sunrise Dawn too. Yay. So, Jimena, I wanted to start with. So, where you live in Mexico, right?
Yes, I
Where
live
do
in
you live?
Mexico. I live in a city that is called Guadalajara. So it's the land of tequila and mariachi. So
Oh,
that's
I
where I
love both.
come from.
I
Yeah.
love both. So that's
Uh,
great.
I wasn't born here. I was born in Mexico City. I grew up in another city that is called Morelia, which is in the region where I don't know if you know, but the movie Coco, the one with the Day of the Dia de Muertos, with
Hmm.
all the Pixar movie, that's from the region I'm from. So like where I grew up, and then I moved to
Oh,
Guadalajara 7 years ago. Yeah.
oh, great. It's a really cute town. I've looked at it online, and it just looks like a little colonial town. And
It
mm,
is.
oh, so adorable. Oh, blessed to crochet. Welcome. So, you've had some recent upheavals in your life going on. Would you like to
Yeah. So
like to start
well,
with the talk,
so
please?
that's what I was thinking, that maybe I could start a little bit. I don't want to get like very back, but
Yeah,
I
no.
think part of the topic here is caring yourself and knowing where to when to live, right? So I think my relationship with violence, as my therapist puts it like that, is when I started when as a young girl. My parents were very tough on me. I was the first of two children. With my sister, they have always been very like loving and caring and being there for her. But in my case, I was always like, they were very hard on me. And they taught me when I was even bullied at school or everything that I should always put the other cheek. And I was like a little bit neglected when I was young. So that programmed me in a way that I grew up like accepting everything negative towards me, and
mm,
even got to a point where I was actually negative towards myself.
Oh,
I've come to
I'm
this
sorry.
realization like in the last years, like a couple of years in therapy, which I recommend to anyone to do that. So
12
it was
years?
like, no, I have been
12?
in therapy 5 years constantly, but I've
Oh,
been in therapy, like, yeah, with my current therapist. She's great. I love her.
oh, that's
Um,
great. Wow, that's a long time.
so yeah, my upbringing, my mom is a type of a narcissist. So
mm,
it's very hard to grow up with a narcissistic parent.
mm,
And
Yes.
yeah, so it's also my self-esteem. So it was tough. So that's where like it started. And then in college, when I was really young, I met this guy, and I fell in love with this guy because he love bombed me and he was great. And I started dating him at 16, so I was young. And I actually got to like I stayed with him for 15 years, which he was my husband number one. I didn't marry him, but like I call him my husband number one. He's the father of my son,
Hmm.
um,
How
and
old's your
he's
son?
also my son is 13.
13? Great.
Yeah, so it was like tough because um, he started like really loving and sweet, but he also like I think part of the context is also I live in Mexico, which is a really macho society, and like violence
It sure.
against women is very like it's part of the culture, which is not good, and it's like really really like underground violence. It
Right.
starts
Don't they call that the
really really
machismo?
slow.
The
Yeah,
machismo in the
exactly.
Hispanic?
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's
Hmm.
like you belong to the kitchen. You need to stay at home. You need to stay cooking, and he like even when we went at college together, we he was always like psychologically violent towards me. Like
mm,
was always undermining me and like calling me names or making me feel bad or ugly or fat or whichever, right?
That's
So it's
awful.
like
That's
when
awful.
you hear those things like all the time, it does a lot of damage.
mm,
So
It hurts. It hurts.
yeah, it hurts. So I lived that like that way for 15 years with that person. And I managed like when I decided to move here to Guadalajara, like the only thing I think that's kept me like sane and not like doing something else is my job. I've always kept my job. Like
mm,
I think the thing that I would recommend to any person who is going through abuse, never stop your income source. Never, because
Great
it's
advice.
empowering in
Yeah.
a way.
yeah.
It's empowering. I think if I hadn't had my job, like it was therapeutic to me, like to get out. And it was
Hmm.
15 years of constant abuse. It got to a point where I actually had to take notes on what I was saying in a certain discussion or a certain conversation because he told me like straight to my face that I was crazy and I needed to go to get like in a
Mm,
facility, mental facility, because I needed treatment.
Yeah, that's what
So
they do.
I really and
yeah.
I I actually doubted myself and I still do. Like I sometimes take notes. There's still some things. And he was. I don't want to trigger anyone, so I'm keeping it light because I know that it's a tough topic. But it was not only that the physical, right? Like he never got physical, like per se, like hurting me or in a bad way, but like the psychological and like coercion for doing sexual things or like other type, like gaslighting and like there were weeks that silent treatment, like there were weeks that I was not even like I didn't exist for anyone right in my house. He isolated me
Mm,
from everyone. I didn't have friends, so I didn't have anything. So it was really
that's
like
awful. Yeah.
upsetting. He actually at this point, when I managed to leave that relationship,
Mm,
um, I like as I said, it was because of my job. I moved here to Guadalajara, and I have a really cool job. So like I'm a project manager. I do IT software projects. So I'm very happy with what I do, and I
That's
got a
great.
really good job. And we moved here, and actually my plan was to leave him there because he didn't have a stable job. He was very abusive towards me, and he was I don't know, like the macho culture, like he was violent, but really, I don't know how to say it, like covered, like not like on, like he could say really joking things, but it was really hurtful. Or
Yeah.
even when I was explaining that, like, when I told him like I got the job, and I was like, hey, I'm very excited because I got this job. And are you sure? Because you're so stupid. I don't know how you got that. I was like, but I did get it, and I'm not stupid. Or I was
That's
explaining my job to someone, and he was like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, I'm going to explain you because you don't know how to explain your job. Like, you are not like good enough to explain your own job. So,
Hmm.
and he was saying these things also in front of my child, because I had my kid when I was 28, so we were like 13 years into a relationship, or a little less. I don't know. I don't keep count on the years. I don't want to
that's okay.
remember that. Uh,
That's
but
okay.
it's so it was really not nice. And I remember when we moved here, he actually, the plan was that I would come here and live by like with my son and bring him. And he actually came to Guadalajara. Also, he quit his job, and then he started with like sucking my money. I don't know how you say that. Like, he didn't have a job, so he was a stay-at-home dad. Like, that was his cover,
Hmm.
and he asked for my money, so he started taking my money and spending my money, and he never had money for the house. So he ruined my I got in a lot of debt. So it was horrible.
Hmm.
So so I managed actually to, like I say, I don't think my story is as impactful as someone else's because I know there are people who suffer a lot more. But it was
No,
very tough for me.
but it's your story. That's what's important.
Yeah.
Um,
It's not a comparison with anybody else.
Yeah.
It's your
Yeah.
story.
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah. That's one thing you never do. You never compare trauma because to
No.
you, yeah, to
and
you, it's
actually,
trauma.
yeah, and I self-destroyed myself also. So I had actually suicidal thoughts. Like, I was weighing like 110 kilos. I don't know how that is how much it is in pounds, but I was really fat,
Okay.
like overweight. And he called me names and told me that I was unattractive and horrible. Like, it was really, really, really horrible. And then he, like, everything was my, like, the problem in Mexico with machis, like, the macho culture, is that when they um like say something, it's always your fault, right? So it's re-victimization. So you are a victim of abuse, but it's your fault. And it's always like, I'm telling you names because you deserve it, right? You did something wrong, so this is why I do this. And actually, it's really concerning because the rate of women killed here in Mexico is really high. The
Mhm.
violence in like every, like, 5 of 10 women in Mexico suffer violence at home. So
Really?
it's really, really
So
tough
that's half.
reality.
So it's half
That's
of the women.
half women in Mexico
That's awful.
suffer from
That's an
domestic violence.
awful culture right there.
There,
Right there. Yeah.
yeah, and we have, like, there's a thermometer for violence that we have actually, and we try to share with the little kids and the little girls, so you can start measuring the violence you are living. Like, if you are living, like, maybe name calling, it's not that big of a problem, but it always escalates.
Mhm.
So even if, when I was 15 years with him, started escalating to a point where, like, he was actually telling me, you go ahead and kill yourself, like, I don't care. And and it was like really traumatic because he said these things in front of my child. I think that's the worst part, and I didn't feel like
Mhm.
worthy enough to do that, so I managed to leave that relationship
Mhm.
at some point. So because of my income, then I said, hey, this is my money, this is my house, I'm paying for everything. And I
Right.
started to
Get
lose
out.
weight. I started to so I told him to
Yeah.
get out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But
Good.
then
Good for you.
he isolated, like, all the friends that I had that are from college and from, like
Mhm.
things. He isolated me from that. He converted everyone against me, so I'm the bad person because I kicked him out. He was living in the street, so he said that I was, like, really bad person. He actually told my son that I didn't love him, that I
But
was
they
not
have to
going to
do
be a
that. They
good
have to
mom for him.
Well,
reframe it so that they look good, right? They have to
Exactly.
reframe,
So
or else they look
that
bad.
was
mhm.
And that
Yeah.
was not actually my first experience with violence, but that this was the longest one. So I have a lot of um, not in a good way, a lot of experience with this. I did have a boyfriend in when I was living in France that he actually almost sent me to the hospital. That was a very traumatic experience. So I like that is triggering. But so it was more of a me. I'm like I don't know what I didn't have in myself that I didn't heal at that point, that I was attracting people that were violent, because it's something that I have to heal on myself. Because if I had I had work on my wounds like from my childhood, I
Mm,
would have detected the red flags earlier,
mm,
because I
mhm.
know that I am worthy and I don't deserve to be mistreated.
Correct.
So I think it's important to
Mhm,
always see that when you don't feel bad with, like, you don't feel good with someone, like as part of self care, if that person makes you feel scared or uncomfortable, or
mm,
like, and I don't mean uncomfortable conversations, but uncomfortable like with yourself in your skin, because
mm.
regardless your weight, the way you think, the way you talk, you are worthy of love. Like every
Absolutely.
person in this world is worthy of love. So
Absolutely.
whenever anyone feels ashamed
Mhm.
being with someone, that's a big red flag. And also another one that I learned that it's in the books for narcissism is love bombing. When everything is too good to
Yeah.
be true in the first couple of days,
Yeah.
it's too good to be true. Just
Mhm.
that's yeah.
I have so been
So
there myself. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah, because they have a lot of skills to manipulate you,
Mhm.
and especially with people like me who are empaths, like we tend
Mm,
to like we relate a lot to them, and then like we tend to
We feed
neglect
them.
ourselves for the sake of other, and we feed them, so we are like
Yeah. Hmm.
constant supplies for them.
that is
um
so that is so interesting. Yeah, because that's all stuff that we've talked about,
It's all
and
the
that
stuff
is
we've talked about. Yeah.
it is interesting. It's tragic, really, but I mean, it's also interesting that you can see this pattern so well. I
Hmm.
mean, and you grew up with that, so it was kind of normalized in your thinking.
it is normalized. My
Yeah.
mom did like, but she's narcissistic, and actually when I did therapy, I actually detected that the first person who abused me like verbally and psychologically and all of that was my mom. So it was weird when she told me like this person was abusive towards me, because she told me like he's a little bit violent, don't you think? Because he tends to undermine you. But she was doing it as a concern, like, are you stupid, or don't you see it? Like she was like shaming me because I was being abused with this person, that I felt like she was abusing me. So I didn't do anything because I was like rejecting her idea because of my relationship with
Right.
her.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And yeah, so it was very hard, because also the reality of what I had in my head of how he was at the
Mm,
beginning, and what he like, he showed the world how he was.
mhm,
um it's not the person that I know. So right now, when my son asks me about like how his father is, I don't like um, to speak bad about his father, but I
That's good.
do have to have honesty with him. Like he hurt me a lot, and I don't
mm,
have hard feelings. I've forgiven him, but it's difficult for me to talk about it because he hurt me a lot, and I don't want you to repeat those patterns.
mm,
And that was like that relationship. So then I started healing. I started going to therapy, and I met my current husband, which we are separated right now. But um, and he the thing is that when I met him, he's really great in when he's sober. My problem with him is he's not a narcissistic person, but he has addiction, and
mm,
he's an alcoholic, and also he has substance abuse. He's not only consuming alcohol. He
mm,
quit before he met me, and he was doing well when I met him. So this is why I fell in love with him, and
mm,
everything was good. But lately, he was feeling very, very angry and very upset with everything. And I didn't know, but he started consuming again.
mm,
The alcohol I noticed,
He
but
hid
the
it
other
from.
things I didn't.
He hid
mm,
He
it.
he hid it, and like for me that was very horrible, because I thought I was healing and I was better, And
Mm.
also love sometimes like stops like for like, I don't know how to say it in English, but doesn't let you see everything, and
Mm.
you avoid some of the red flags because you
Mhm.
love the person and you care for them.
I
Yes.
think it's
So
rose-colored
I,
glasses in English, maybe.
Yeah.
exactly.
You
So
see
I,
everything through rose-colored glasses.
when I saw some behaviors that weren't good, I was like, okay, no, it's my imagination. Like I'm not. That's not him. So I started justifying him, and then I started to get into old patterns, and violence started escalating because he started calling me names or started calling me things. And since
Mhm.
I was already used to that, even if I've healed right now, it's difficult. But I noticed this, and I actually tried several times to tell him, like, if you don't seek for help, this is over between you and I, because I don't want my son to see that as an example, because
Mhm.
I really suffered with his dad, and it was for me very difficult to let him know and learn that the behavior he was seeing with his father was toxic and that was harmful towards women, and I don't want him to be that guy to one
Right,
woman at someday.
right,
Mm.
So, and I also don't want him to start addiction because he's 13. So he's like, he has access to the drugs if he has them here. So like, I don't want him to have weed or other stuff here in my house because that's something that my son can have access to, or my little girl, right?
Mhm.
So when I
exactly.
started noticing these things, I actually told him, and he got angrier and angrier and bitter and bitter until 3 weeks ago. He was not him. I don't know what he consumed that day. It was horrible. Like, he was not him. He was a monster. He's like, I haven't seen him like that ever. And I
Mm.
didn't know that part of him, and that's something horrible because I know he's sick, but I know that I can't be with him because I'm endangering myself and I'm endangering my kids. And this is
Right.
where the self-care parts gets, because I've learned through all the experience that I've had with
Mhm.
psychological violence, sexual violence, other things, that you need to care of you, put yourself first and care for yourself and your safety
Mm.
before uh, someone else's. And also, if you have kids, and as a mom, it's important for you to protect your children. So for
Mm.
me, that experience, I don't want to get into details because I still can't talk about it without crying. But it was very traumatic for me and my kids, especially my daughter. She's 4 years old. So she witnessed everything. And he was seeing his dad hurting his mom. And she, like, that breaks my heart. She shouldn't have experienced
It
something
breaks
like
my
that.
heart too. Yes.
Mm.
So
It's
my
sad.
responsibility as her mom is like, I know I want to help him and I want him to get better, but he can't do that here. So because I understand, like, this is different from the macho, like Mexican macho, like my ex-husband. He was getting physical at some point, but this
Mm.
is a disease. Like, he's an alcoholic. He has like a drug addiction, but as long as he doesn't treat that, like, we won't be able. We are not safe. So for me, it's very difficult because I want him to get better, and I know that was not him. It's his disease, but also that's not justification for what he did.
No, it's not a.
So, and he needs to be held accountable. So, like, I don't know where I took the strength that day, and I left actually for my safety. Took my son. I couldn't take my daughter because he was getting more violent when I was trying to get her. So I decided to do the best thing there and, like, give her my blessing, call my mother-in-law to help me,
Mm.
and left, and took my son, because since he's not my son's dad, even though they have a great relationship, I thought my son was at risk also. So I decided that the safest thing to do was leave. Um, so I left to a hotel, and, like, even though it's my house, I left him here. And then we had a vacation plan. Actually, it was before a vacation we had together as a family.
Mm.
Um, and she took my daughter, but I asked my mother-in-law to go with her, because I needed her to protect my daughter. I couldn't go because I was in fear of my safety. I know he's not going, like, when sober, he's not going to do that to me at all. But I don't want to risk it. If he had a beer or if something
mm,
like, I can't risk that.
mhm,
No, you can't
So
trust.
I can trust him right now. Like,
No,
or I don't know if I'll trust him ever. That's what I told him. Like,
mhm,
you have to figure that out later. But for right
yeah,
now,
right now I know it's like, so I packed his things and I asked him to leave, um, with all the pain in my heart. So I'm,
mm,
because my daughter and him are like this. They are always together. He's a great father to her. He goes to all of her classes. He's like, so for me, it's breaking my heart because it's like I'm, like losing part of my family, and also
for sure, part of your
my
family.
girl.
Yeah.
The
mhm,
other day, she
He,
opened up and told me like, you abandoned me, mom, that day with dad. He was very angry. He hurt you and you abandoned me. And she doesn't understand that I couldn't take her with me because it was going to be worse.
yeah,
So my daughter right now is the person who's breaking my heart the most, because she shouldn't be seeing these things at this age. She's 4.
mm.
yeah,
Yeah,
So
she doesn't
she's too
understand
young
yet.
to
Yeah,
understand. Yeah, she can't
yeah,
understand what happened.
yeah,
I mean, but I
yeah.
think that overall, doing the right thing for both of you is
Yes.
going to be the best in the end. I think, don't you?
Mhm,
yeah,
yeah.
and and I think this is also something that I think I took as an experience, because I know she saw that. She's starting therapy next week because I don't want her to suffer what I did. Like during all my life, I have 41 years old, and half my life I was under abusive relationships. So that's not, I don't want that for her.
That
Um,
is,
Good.
yeah, that is good. Good on you, because that is very important that you
Mhm.
try to inoculate, for lack of a better term, your children from that. And that is so. That is. I am so proud of you for doing that.
Thank you. And
Everything you've
uh,
done, I'm proud of it because, wow, how hard that is that to do to walk away from and get a hotel and
Mm,
stand up for yourself and leave when you needed to. All that
mm,
stuff is
yeah, in
important.
the other relationship took me 15 years to stand up for myself. I didn't
mm,
want to happen in this relationship. So because I was thinking that if I stay, this will only escalate, and I don't want to get killed at some point, because
No,
he's under a substance. So I don't know, like he's not having any inhibitions there. So
mhm,
he,
right.
like, if he's getting aggressive, will only escalate more.
mm,
So so he actually is like told her that he was going to leave because he needs to get better for her, and that he hurt me very badly, and that he doesn't want that to happen again. So he needs to put some distance, and he's going to go to rehab, and he's in therapy. So he started, actually, he's in rehab right now and started therapy. But this is going to take time for him to heal. So but I don't care for like right now about that. It's more of a self-care of after suffering something like this, because in other situations
mhm,
I would have be completely crushed. I actually was, like I said, I was suicidal at some point. I actually had a plan. I had my, I had my like will in place. I bought the house. It was in place with, if I die, everything goes to my kids.
Oh,
And my plan was to actually get into a truck and like my car and just go through like the road and out the road, because I knew for sure I was gonna die, and my kids wouldn't have to like see me dying. So that
mm.
was
oh,
my plan.
that's beautiful.
Because I
Was
was
that
like, I
recent?
really,
Was that
it was,
recently?
I was postpartum depression, and like, yeah, I was like not good, and like since I didn't have a good like I don't have my the only person that I had was my like my husband, like my husband, and he was not here because he had to travel on work things. And the my ex-husband was telling my son that I didn't love him anymore because I have like my son, that I have a new family, and he doesn't belong to my new family, and that I didn't that I was not going to see my son, and he was like 9 years old, so it was tough for him. So it was all of that, and then I thought like he started like bullying me through chat. He still does sometimes, but I don't care. But I've healed enough right now that I don't care. But but it was really horrible. And then I remember that
I'm
I
glad you're
was
still
like,
here. I'm glad you didn't do it.
Mm,
I actually had everything in place. I was about to do it. The only thing that was keeping me of not doing it is that my husband was not here, so no one was going to be with my baby because she was really really small.
mm,
So I was waiting for that, and then I decided to call my therapist because I had a like a long pause with my therapy. So
mhm,
this is why
Mm,
it's important to have support. Support is important. Connection is important
absolutely.
because
Yes.
I told her something. I don't know what comment did I say when I called her, that she immediately transferred me with a psychiatrist. She called me for a therapy session, and they put me
good.
under like medication. Um, that's helped me a lot,
Mm.
and therapy. So she's been my companion in this healing journey for 5 years now. So I'm very happy that I
Oh,
found her. She's
Yeah, that's
actually,
great.
with this crisis that I had with my husband and
mm,
all the violence, I called her, and
mhm.
she's been calling me daily to be with me. Like she doesn't even charge me; she just calls me to see how I am and doing,
Oh, good.
and she's providing conversations, and like she sent me books and quotes. So I think part of the self care that I wanted to focus on more rather than my story in violence, but I wanted to contextualize everything, is that she like having a good support, even if it's one person or
Mhm,
one friend, is really really important. Also,
Hmm.
it's not bad to seek for help. Like we tend to try to solve everything for like by ourselves,
mhm,
but it's important to seek for help. And like because if you don't have that person, that's why sometimes I reach out in the chat like, hey, I
mm,
need to talk to someone, and it's not because I want to be a drama queen. It's because that connection, maybe venting something that you have there in your heart
mm.
helps,
Right.
because it's like journaling. You put it in paper and it's out of your chest and your soul, and then you can start healing that sentiment. So for me, it's very important to start detecting the triggers that you have, or detecting
Mhm,
the feelings that you experience throughout the day, even if it's someone who saw or didn't speak to you the way you wanted at the store or
mm.
something. That can be a trigger, and
Yeah,
you have to detect that and feel it and analyze it and let it go, because if not, you are going to start drowning. And
yeah.
I know how that feels, and it's horrible, and it's horrible to feel to live that alone. Right
Mm,
now, here where I live, like I can go to my parents because my parents live in Morelia, and actually my mom is not the greatest support. So if I tell her what happened, she's gonna start trashing me because I'm stupid, trashing my husband because he's an addict, and
I
trashing everyone.
understand that. Yeah.
And
My
I can't
my
deal with
mom does
that.
the same thing, so I understand
Yeah.
completely. Hmm.
mm,
And if like my sister, look, she doesn't care. And my friends isolated me because my ex-husband, so I don't have friends. So this is why me finding the boat has been really really healing, because even though I don't know the person like face to face,
sure.
they listen and they actually care. And then you go back and they ask about you and how are you feeling, and they like that.
Mm,
I think it's something that I cherish a lot, because
mm,
Me too.
it literally changed my life, and I
That's great.
found the support that I haven't found only in my therapist, but uh, with Shannon, for example, that day when you reached out and asked, and just you just read what I was saying, that for me was incredible. Or John, who is here in the chat, I
mm,
I love him a lot because he's really supportive. Like
mm.
he's always reaching out when I feel bad. So
Oh, good.
these are now my friends, and I consider them family because I don't have anyone else.
Mm,
And that connection, like having connection, it's important. And
It is important. Yeah. I
self-care,
don't have
and
any
also,
family. Yeah, I don't have any family at all, so it's like it's makes it hard.
mm,
Yeah.
yeah, and also I think good things about self-healing is also started with my spirituality. So even though I'm not a religious person, like regardless what religion you want to follow, I think it's important to have also some spirituality. So you have the three things, like the physical health, that it's important. So exercising, it's important because you produce like I don't know how you say it, but the happy hormones that make you
Right.
happy. a
Mhm.
good of like ingesting good food, like a good diet, also
Right. The
not a lot
body.
of sugar, so that you're
Sure.
caring of your body. And then you have your mental health, that's very important. So have
Mind.
a support system, have a therapist, have someone to talk to, have a journal, whatever, but something that helps you vent and helps you talk about it and not judge you, and especially someone who is not going to judge you because you're feeling that some way. That's very important because we are the worst judges to ourselves.
I
Yep.
am.
So I'm very critical of myself, and I always, especially because of all the abuse that I've suffered along the like my history, I tend to apologize all the time. Like, I'm sorry I said this, or sorry, sorry to bother you, sorry. So, like, it's you don't have to do that, but and people tell me you don't have to apologize, but I I still do that because it's the tendency that I had for all my life. I've been like that.
I do
Um,
that too. So we have that in
and
common too. Hmm.
Yeah, and then so I said physical, mental, and spiritual is also important. So
Spiritual
if you
soul.
have the three things,
Mind,
your
body,
soul,
spirit. Hmm.
exactly. I think that's important. So
Mm,
whichever thing, I found that in magic things and like crystals and all of that, but it can be religion, it can be whatever, like
yep.
something that feels your soul and that you can do and you can enjoy.
Hmm.
Sure.
That's important. So I meditate a lot. I do exercise,
Mm,
and I pamper myself sometimes. Like I buy some face masks, and I do that with my daughter.
mm,
Or like I try to do something like
That's
good for
great.
me. That it's
Yes.
not because what I've learned through all of this violence that I also had myself, because I my therapist tells me that I have an addiction to violence, because
Wow.
I was
That's
also
powerful.
violent to me. Yeah, so it was very like when I she said that I was like, what are you saying? And
Yeah, that's
then I
powerful.
started to like analyze all of that, and I said, okay, yeah, because I'm also seeking that because that's the only type of relationships I know, and that's the only way I can handle my relationships. And then I started learning boundaries, setting boundaries. That's an important tool that I've learned, how to set healthy boundaries, and it's helped me right now with this situation with my husband, because it's like, I'm
Okay.
sorry, this is not like you broke a boundary, and this is the consequence, and the consequence needs to be as high and as harsh as the action itself. So if we have to break up, that's what we have to do. So that learning how to set boundaries with my partner, with my mom also, because she's my like the source of uh, my violence. So I've learned, like, sometimes I have conversations with her and I actually hang up the phone when she starts to be aggressive, or
Hmm.
because like I say the boundary, like, I won't let you treat me like this. If you continue speaking to me like this, I'm going to hang up. She continues to do that,
Right.
I hang up.
wow.
So that the first time I did it, I was shaking, I was crying, I was uh, like saying what am expecting, what is my boundary, and having the consequence.
Mhm,
Um, it's important. So that's important, and also boundaries towards myself, because all of these also I have I overeat. So my like I punish myself by eating
mm,
Mm.
because I find comfort in eating, or I eat my
yep.
feelings, right? Whatever. So I eat a lot, and like a lot. And that's a form of punishment that I put myself into. So that's, I'm violent towards me. So
Mm.
um so that also has helped me with setting boundaries to myself that I don't have to cross,
Sure.
because I'm also neglecting me, and the only person that I can take care of me is me.
Mm,
So
True.
that's what I've learned. That like I think after repetition, you start getting there and start like saying, I am worth it, and I'm valuable, and I deserve love, I deserve respect,
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
deserve healthy relationships. And I'm doing this because I want my daughter and my son to have healthy relationships in the future.
Absolutely. Hmm.
And the only person that can teach them that is me with my relationships, because I'm setting the precedent. So I don't want them to feel like this. So it's been
mm,
a long way. I've been dealing with this half my life, or more.
Right.
And until now, I've just realized that. So I'm like, I think maybe it's not the harsh story, I'm not going to be crying because I hate crying and I cope with humor and I tend to laugh when I'm nervous. But I hope that my example of like a healing journey of years and years and almost not being here had, can help someone to find help and start looking to yourself
Right.
and trying to give you what you need, because if you start with you and you heal you, then everything else is going to heal. So that's what's worked for me. And then I see that my relationships with other people start getting better. I have better communication. I have better, like, I don't have to get angry all the time or defensive because I'm healing and that's getting better. So it's like the change starts here in your soul. So
That's
that's
great.
what I like.
That's great.
Before before I forget, I want to say that I'm glad that you're here at the boat because we're better with you than we are without you. And I have to agree with your friend, Hockey John, was it? I already forget.
John, I love
Found
John.
John.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It is so good that that you, of course, were able to um, work through your issues and not do what you were considering. That is very, very good. Yeah, we're all better with you here, of course.
Absolutely.
Um,
Hmm.
yeah.
Thank you.
It's
Yes,
Yeah.
very.
amazing to me. Your journey is much more. I didn't expect it to start at childhood, but I mean, I guess it makes sense in a sick kind of way because you're kind of normalized to it. You're used to that. So yeah, you're going to have eroded boundaries, and you're going to think that's normal.
Yeah, it was like with my mom, for example, when I told her, like, this girl is being mean to me, I don't know what to do, I feel sad. She always told me, like, go and be nicer to her because make her like you. And it's
Mm,
like, why should I, like, right now when I analyze that, is why should I make her like me? If she doesn't like me, she doesn't like me. That's like, why do I keep like accepting
mm,
like
So your
horrible
mom
things?
told you to do that?
Yeah, my mom, like, and my dad, like, and they always made me go to parties that I didn't want to go, or like people were pushing me and hitting me at school, bullying me all the time. Like,
mm,
I was really bullied at school, like called names, called, like, and like she didn't even care. Like, it's like, no, no, you have to make them your friends, because just by being your friend, like their friends, they're
mhm,
gonna stop. And I'm like, she never like showed me how to set a boundary. And she
mm,
even bullies me right now, like narcissistic, like all the time. She one day
Right.
she asked for your opinion, and then she starts shouting because you give her your opinion. And it's like, then why you ask? But at that moment, like growing up, like she always called me fat. So my eating problem comes from there, because I, like, you're always fat. Aren't you like tired of eating? You should be tired. Like, you eat all the time. And
Mhm.
those like
Right.
comments, like you listen that since you are 3 years old,
mhm,
it's really harming to a kid,
Yeah.
like,
So sorry that that happened to you. Yeah. All of it. All of it.
mm,
and
Aw-
yeah,
Awful.
so, and I didn't know. I thought my father was very quiet and he was very harsh. He
mm,
was raised by a military man, so he, like, all the rules were very strict with him.
Hmm.
And he was also very he was never caring for me, but I thought that my problem was him. But then when I started digging in therapy, no, my problem is with my mom and my relationship with my mom,
mm,
Yeah.
because she is very
That's.
abusive.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, and
I can relate, but yeah,
yeah, I
still.
had to put like distance between us. Like, I live in another city, I barely talk to them. I go visit once a year and
That's a
I
good
stay there
idea.
for a couple of days. And so it's good for my mental health, because
Mhm,
when I go, I normally get like come back and I'm destroyed because of the conversations. They're really mean to me. For example, when with my ex-husband, my mom decided that he is welcome in her house, even though he was very violent. And she invites him over, and she spends, like, the other day, I was not able to go to Christmas, and she invited him and let him be there and showed me that he was there, like
mm,
having fun with my parents. And he was very abusive towards me. So it's like, I don't know. And psychological
So sorry.
abuse it can be as harming, or maybe even, I don't know, it's not noticeable, you don't see it, but it's very damaging.
Yeah,
No,
And
it cuts your soul. Yeah.
yeah, and that's one thing. I mean, I realize it's probably an overused. It's overused to the point it's a cliche. That's something that's repeated so often it kind of loses meaning. But it seems like boys, maybe I'm wrong, boy on boy in school, you get together. If you don't like each other, you kick each other's butt, and you become best friends. Girls, they seem like, man, a lot they give each other eating disorders and stuff. I mean, like, man, some of that stuff is, yeah, that I never understood that.
Women can be very hard on each other,
Yeah,
very catty to each other, and it's
mhm,
a shame. And I wonder where that comes
yeah,
from. Like, where
yeah,
does
and
that come
that's
from? Maybe the fact that we're not stronger, so we figure out other ways to do battle. I don't know, but
mm,
so it doesn't
yeah,
make it right.
and especially I think when it comes from parents, that they are the people who are supposed to take care of you,
mm,
and protect you.
Absolutely.
sure,
And when they abuse, regardless if it's physical or psychological or whichever comes from them, I think that's more damaging, and it's harder to overcome, because
You can't see the
we
can't see the bruises either. That's the thing. Like,
exactly.
somebody
So,
sees the bruise, they're like, "Oh, honey, what happened to you?" And but someone
and
can't
that
see
was
the
my
emotion.
case with my ex-husband, because it was like he's hurting me, I feel horrible, I'm being abused, but no one noticed because I
Mm,
didn't have bruises. So, like,
mm.
even when I was asking for help, they told me that I was going nuts and that I was overreacting, or that I like. So,
wow,
to getting to a point where you're actually doubting if you are crazy, and actually considering going to a mental facility because you are not remembering things correctly, that's horrible. And then, like, you are a ghost in your house and you don't exist, and like he
yeah,
could look through me, and it was like I wasn't there. And like, he was horrible. So that's my worst experience, I think.
I'm
Like,
so
the other one, it's
sorry
just
that
like
all
I
this stuff.
can justify it a little bit more, because I don't justify it, but it's like more like I can handle that better than the
mm,
15 years I lived with this guy. Yeah.
yeah. That it is interesting how there's so many things that pop up about the first of all empathy and narcissist. Those two attract each other because one feeds the other. I mean, in this case, the empathy the person with empathy feeds the narcissist, and that's what they need is food. And that's very one-sided. And then of course we had so many things that we've talked about on here that came up.
I
It is
know. What are the odds, right?
Yeah, and
wow.
you're constantly trying to get the approval again, and
Mhm,
to that feeling of I am worthy and he's going to love me again. So I
mm,
need to try harder, like I need to do better. I need to do like, and that's what I do with my mom. Well, I don't do it right now, but I did with my mom. I did with this person. So it was like you're always seeking that feeling, and it's like an addiction. That they actually compare. Like, there's studies that compare the codependency in relationships with an addiction like alcoholism, because you are addicted to that, like,
Right.
rush you get when they are happy with you. So you
mhm,
are like, you try to seek that, and this is why, like, they are harsh, and then, but you still seek, and you avoid, like, having, like, you are on eggshells all the time, working on eggshells, because you don't want them to get angry or upset or treat you bad or call
yeah,
you
Right.
names, and you're, yeah. So
yeah,
it's a circle, and then there's always the love bombing, and that's like a really tough phase, because it's like you want to keep that, that's what
You
you
want to
want.
believe that. You want to hold on to
And
that.
yeah, yeah,
exactly, and you want to believe that that is real, and it's
Yeah.
not, and it's very difficult to break that pattern
It
yeah,
sure
yeah.
of,
is.
Well, it feels good at the time. I mean, who doesn't want to be loved? But
Right.
that's
Everybody
one
does.
that's one of the hardest things in love bombing. Those the spot is the phony nature of it, because like it's being offered just to manipulate.
I
That's,
know.
that's so hard. Hockey Town. Yes, I should have realized when you said Detroit Red Wings, if I'm right. Um,
Oh, Detroit. Hey, I'm
yeah, you
from
call
Detroit.
Yes. Yes, that's very true.
So
Mm.
yeah, and but yeah, I think everything comes back to like we are the only people who can save ourselves. Like we can't help like have others save us. We can have connections to support us, but we have to do the hard work,
Yeah.
and we
I'm
have to
so happy that you
take.
did that. I'm so happy that you did that when
Yeah.
you drew a boundary and you stuck to it, and I'm so happy that you did that.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I gotta say, I was really um I was really feeling a lot of stress at first, but I am so glad because you went through this and you went through all this and you're getting help for it. I mean, yeah, it's a journey. Do any of us ever finish? Who knows? But it is. I am just so happy with you that you found confidence to leave, that you found just the wherewithal to go to counseling. And because yeah, when you go through something like that, it is heavy, and yeah, it can do all sorts of things, especially with a our childhoods kind of set us up, but they're not always going to be the cause. This kind of stuff can happen to
Hmm.
it
anybody given
happens
the
to
right
anybody.
combination. Yeah.
Yeah, this is in my case. It started in childhood. It can be something else. But the thing is, we need to be like aware all the time of red flags and things that trigger us. My therapist has an analogy that I love. The first one she told me is that we are like a little bit like a robot with buttons, and there are buttons that do good things, and there are buttons that make us do bad things or make us cry or make us sad. So we need to be aware of what we are feeling all the time, because if we detect which is the button that they are pushing, then we can stop the behavior
Mm,
and we can change our response to the but like the trigger. So my mom is always going to try and trigger and push my buttons. She's always going to do that, but I can react differently. So I can't control her behavior, but I can
Right,
control
only
my
yours.
response. So
Hmm.
understanding that took me a lot of time, but understanding that and looking at my triggers, now I see when someone wants to push one of my buttons, and I can just move like and don't respond. And
So
mm,
self awareness is
mm,
incredible. That's great that
mm.
yeah,
you have that self
Yeah.
awareness.
and it's taken me a while to get here, and it's practice also. And sometimes, like yesterday, if we've had this conversation yesterday, I would have been a mess. I would have been crying because it's like I said, my feelings come in waves. Right now I feel really good, but
Mhm.
there's
I
like some
understand the
waves that
waves.
come.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like everything with my husband is so recent, that it's when I see my daughter asking questions, or she asks difficult questions like how why did you abandon me, or that daddy hurt you and she did something bad to you, and are you okay, is he gonna hurt me, or questions that are very difficult to respond for me, like because she's very little to understand. um, that's very upsetting to me, and I don't know how to handle that right now. So yesterday I was a mess, and I lost my job yesterday. So um, I need to find a new job in the next month. So it was not a good day, but right now we're here and we're being positive, and we have the handle of things and we'll make it work. But it's
Mm,
yeah,
Yeah. Well, you have my admiration, that's for sure.
mm. Man,
yeah.
everybody is just really doing so good in the I love hearing this, and I love just watching the chat. Now I know why mods like this, because yeah, that was one of the things deciding to do this. I thought it was important to have Shannon do the heavy lifting, just because it's kind of awkward because like I'm not a therapist, and I realize talking to a guy can be triggering to some. So yeah, I thought it was important to have the heavy lifting. But now I see what mods do, because you're able to listen, you're able to interact with the comments. It's just really
And I really appreciate that you are giving me like this a forum to speak about my story. I've never thought of my story as valuable or like
Oh, it
someone could
is.
learn about it. So it's
No,
nice to have that
I
as
think
like,
it's great. I think it's
Yeah.
incredible how you've overcome so much.
Hmm.
And it's still a journey. I mean, it's not, your journey's not over, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And
But
like I'm always like trying to say in the boat, like, please, if someone needs help with anything or needs to talk, I'm here, because I know how overwhelming life can get and how devastating situations can get and how horrible it is that you don't want to be here anymore. And if you need like a person to help you or just listen, I'm here for anyone, or just reach out, because I know how important have someone
Hmm.
is.
that's
um,
awesome. That's awesome that you're doing that, Mike.
and
Hmm.
yeah, because actually all of you in the boat saved my life also, because you've been helping me through go through things, even just like by asking, hey, how are you doing, are you feeling okay? Or John asking me, like, I love John. He's been really supportive, and I see there's a lot more people here, Robin and all other people, but that are being very supportive to me. So I really thank everyone, because I wouldn't be able to deal with this right now if it weren't for this support that I'm having. Because as I said, I don't have anyone here. I don't have family, just my son. And I don't think it's a good idea to put this burden to my son.
No,
Hmm.
so,
but
so
thank you for sharing your story. And it's a very important story. And, I know that you told me yesterday you didn't think that it was. And I'm like,
I
no,
still don't think
it
that I
Yeah.
add much value, but yeah, thank you.
really
um,
is. It's important. All of us have our own stories. And thank you for coming on and telling yours. I appreciate it.
Thank you both
It's
so
great.
Does
much.
I gotta ask? Does everybody know about this whole Lionsgate thing other than me? I feel like I'm the only one who's like everybody had this secret club.
I probably have no idea what you're talking
Oh,
about. What are you talking about?
bless you, bless you, bless you, sweet Santa. Somebody else is in my camp.
What do I not know about that I need to know?
Yeah,
What's going
it's
on?
it's a time of change that Christy was talking about.
Oh,
Energetically, it's a great time to manifest and change your life until August 8th.
oh, okay. Well, maybe I did a good thing by doing what I did today.
Oh,
Right.
that's right. Yes, yes. Please give us an update. How are you feeling? I think.
Uh,
Well, if you're willing to share, I don't want to pressure you.
no, I'm willing to share. It was a completely. I mean, for those that don't know, I had ketamine treatment for the first time today,
Wow.
and it was totally unreal. And I think, what did I say to the doctor? I said bizarre. I mean, it was intravenous, and they kind of put some headphones on you and put you in a dark room, and you just kind of, I don't know, I can't even explain what it happened. It was bizarre. That's the only word I
and
can come up with.
and how are
And
you feeling?
I was telling Ben a little bit earlier that I have a bit of a headache, so I think it's probably a hangover, maybe, but a bit of a headache, and just completely exhausted. And I think I really need to process what happened, because I don't know, some wild stuff happened. I don't know. So it almost like how we talk about the shards of glass being put together to make a disco ball and coming together. Like, it was freaky. It was freaky. So I have to really process. I'm not really sure how it's going to. Not really sure how it's going to end or come together, but it was certainly very interesting to see. I
Don't
don't
for,
know.
don't
I
forget,
just
Ximena, Don Gloves just sent you a friend request. Her real
I'll
name's Pat.
accept you, Don.
mhm.
Thank you.
So yeah, well, that's all. But so yeah, I will keep everybody posted. If I have to make a decision if I'm going to have more ketamine treatments, or it's quite
Mm,
expensive. At least I
mm,
think it is $350 a session. So
mm.
it's kind of expensive.
And
So,
how often do you have to put it?
well, originally they had recommended a treatment plan of 10, and I agreed to one. So
Okay.
I think it's all up to me now. I think I think the ball's in my court, so to speak,
Hmm.
to see to go on or not. I think I might go online and see what the actual recommended thing is, or maybe I'll contact Tara Smiling and see what she has to say about it because
Hmm.
I know
She would be
she
a
used to
great
get
resource.
ketamine treatment, or maybe
That's
I'll ask in one of the lives if anybody else has ever done the ketamine treatments that can have
hmm.
any input on between the first and the second and just
I
how
have
much it.
one friend that started her session like with ketamine on Monday, and she's going to have her second one today. I don't know
Hmm.
if it was intravenous like yours, but I can ask how she's feeling because the first
Yeah,
day
great.
she couldn't even sleep. She was feeling horrible. And I think, but yesterday she slept really well. So that was an improvement. And I don't know, she's going to take the second shot like today or the second dose today. So I'll ask her and I can let you know.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be
Like that's
great.
at least one input. Like I have no experience in that, but
Yeah, no, that'd be great because yeah, I do need input to go on any further. And looks like Tampa B Man had 5 done when she did it.
Hmm.
So
600.
Yes. For anybody who doesn't know, Tara Smiling does have a meeting where she holds it on her Discord server. It's not hard at all to sign up to. All you need is the address. It's easy, and you can pop in there, and it's pretty much everybody. Everybody talks to everybody, kind of thing. Really
hmm
good meeting. If anybody wants the address, feel free to email me at this, because I know if I say it, I'm going to say it wrong. GIS moron at
okay, great, great plan, Freak.
gmail.com.
Great.
I can get you the address to her server. I just don't have it off the top of my head. But
Okay,
yeah, if
great.
anybody wants to make it, it's on Thursday nights. I think it's usually 7 p.m. Pacific, which would be 8 Mountain, 9 Central, 10
10
East.
Eastern.
Don't
We
make me
always get left
count again.
behind us Eastern people.
I went to Bisbee High School. I can't count. Come on. So I gotta know, in Mexico, do they have Taco Bell down there?
No, we have real tacos.
Yes. I was wondering that, and it's like,
Yeah, well, there was one in Mexico City,
I
but
heard they opened
like,
one in Mexico City and they had to take an
yeah,
ad in the newspaper telling people what a burrito was because that's not a thing there. That's what I heard at the time in
no,
Europe.
the burritos are eaten in the like at north of Mexico, like in the frontier, like where that's where we normally have them. Some of the states there use them. So tacos, depending on the region, but we go to street tacos. That's what you have to eat if you come to Mexico, the street tacos,
Right.
because Taco Bell, no, it's not because I think you eat it with tortilla chips, like they're already hard, and that's not the way we eat tacos. We eat them in a different way. So soft tortillas
Right.
and with
The
salsa, a
flour.
lot of salsa. Yeah.
Yes.
yes, and
Yeah,
A-
we
I get
have.
them at the airport when I'm in Mexico City, the street tacos in
They're
Mexico
delicious,
City.
especially in Mexico City. The best ones are from the pastor, which is like you see the street tacos with like it's like a kebab, like something like meat, like it's like this. We call it trompo. I don't know how it's like. It's round and you cut it with a knife. And you have pineapple and that type of meat, which has
Right.
some adobo. It's really delicious, and you
Oh,
put it in the tacos.
oh,
Um, if you come here to where I live, we have tacos who go with salsa. They go with salsa that are like soaked in salsa and tortas. Those are delicious. So depending on the region, you can find different types of food. Yeah.
And
oh man.
none of it is like our Tex-Mex or like our Taco Bell. None of it is. At
No,
least I haven't found anything like that there.
the other day someone was asking me about chili con carne, and I was telling them that that's not Mexican. That's Tex-Mex. That's from yes.
Tex-Mex is, I
Uh,
mean, I like Tex-Mex, but it's not
I
the
like
same.
it too. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not the same. I do love chili con carne. I love it. I'd rather have like real Mexican food that it's more from the south. But that, like chile con carne, I wouldn't say no to chile con carne,
How do
especially
you
if it's good.
how do you say Oaxaca? Is it
Oaxaca,
Oaxaca? Is it Oaxaca? I
Oaxaca.
actually pronounced it
Yeah.
right.
You pronounced it right, yeah.
How the
Oaxaca,
how
yeah.
the hell
What is
did I do?
Oaxaca? What
Oaxaca
is
is a
Oaxaca?
state in Mexico,
Oh, okay.
South Mexico, and it's really nice. It's very colonial, and we also have some, like from the some ancient civilizations. We have pyramids and things there, so it's really nice. And
Oh,
there are
is that
cute
where
beaches.
Acapulco is, or is
No,
that
that's Guerrero.
okay? Because I
That's
was to Acapulco years ago, like 30 years ago. It was my first
It was
foreign visit.
devastated by a hurricane last year, and
Oh,
it's
okay.
in recovery right now. But there's a beach in Oaxaca that's named Huatulco. It's really beautiful. That's really nice. And we also have good, like we have Puerto Vallarta, Nuevo Vallarta. These are near my region, and they're really nice too. So, and
A
more
lot of
popular.
Americans go to Puerto Vallarta.
Yeah, Cancun is overrated, I think.
Yeah. Oh, I think so
It's
too.
very expensive. It's really nice, but
Playa
it's
del
very expensive.
Carmen.
Yeah,
Playa
it's
del
like
Carmen
it's
is cute.
the other day I was seeing the flight rates and like the hotels. It's like it's nuts. I wouldn't pay for that. Like that's not worth it. We have better beaches here, and you don't have to go there. So if you need some advice on where to go and travel, ask me. I can
I
help you.
will ask you, yes, because I
Yeah,
definitely need to check out some areas of Mexico for sure.
awesome.
Christy does have a channel you might be interested in, Ximena. That is, I'm waiting for somebody to post it. Hopefully they do. Her channel is Conversations with Christy. She works with energy. She's into, there it is, right there. Of course,
Yes.
I can't click on it. It will be, hmm, I need to pin that in the comments. You might not be able to click on it in here. You might have to, oh, I can't click
I'm
on it in here.
I
But yeah,
need to reach out to Christy. She talks
yeah.
about topics that I love.
Yes,
So she was telling me all
does.
about Lionsgate, and I say, "Oh, I know that," and I was trying to, yeah. So I'm gonna reach out. I love her. The other day I joined the conversation you had. It was very very insightful. I loved that conversation.
Mm, yeah, she's let's see, we got any other channels represented in here before I forget? Oh, that's right. We had Tara Smiling. And yeah, and I do Tara Smiling is a YouTube channel. She's not broadcasting right now, while she's get used to surfing again.
Oh,
Apparently apparently she's doing that. But she does still have her weekly meetings on her Discord server. So yeah, I'll get back to anybody who wrote me for that. I can give you the
okay.
address to it. Let's see here. Conversations. Yeah, that her address. And okay, we had a couple of conversations with Christie's plural. Yes, there's more than one. Um, let's see. We had a
Thanks for
conversation.
being here, Tampa B man.
We also had. Oh yeah, thank
Thanks.
you so much, Tam. Hey, and John Hockey Town John. Thank you so much. Thank you to everybody. I live for now.
Yes.
Blessed to Crochet. Yes, Blessed to Crochet also has a channel. I don't want to forget everybody, and every time I do, I forget somebody. Um,
Oh, Miss Sunrise Dawn says she's having a live in about 20 minutes.
Miss Sunrise Dawn's having a live. Ooh,
Hmm.
Nice.
Miss Sunrise Dawn, can you post your thingy? You should be a mod. I have so many mods. I gave mod permission to so many people. Hey, it works.
They are great mods. I love them. I always talk to them when I come to the channel.
Thank you, John. The upcoming.
Yeah,
That's
it's funny. We've only been doing this a short amount of time, and people have been watching, so it's been great.
yeah.
Really great.
Yeah, tomorrow, of course, we have the interview with Tommy. I keep wanting to say Spanks. Even if I have the coof, which is a code word for a word you can't say in YouTube
B
for whatever
plus
reason.
math.
Yeah, C plus math, the vid, C19, whatever. Even if I have the coof, I will be there. Even if I'm on death's door, I may have to have a couple people propping me up, and I got a couple people online who are going to help me. because Tommy's a handful. But
Really? I never noticed.
See?
uh,
He seems like he's like calm and not a handful. I don't know. I don't.
well,
He doesn't
Calm?
come up like
it's,
Calm?
Tommy. I don't know. I think his energy. I don't know. I don't get him as
Okay.
you
he
know,
doesn't intimidate me. I don't know. I would love to talk to him in
But
person someday.
he doesn't intimidate me, but he's not calm.
yeah, there is
Well,
there's quite a few things I want to ask him.
the other day I saw your interview with Scott from the one
Behavior
who
panel.
analyzes. Yeah, it was great. I love. I always watch them also. So
I
Mm,
love them too. I've always watched the
yeah.
behavior panel.
yeah,
I was so
Yeah.
yeah,
surprised when you interviewed him. Like I was, like, oh my god, I
yeah.
was very
That
happy.
that was kind of weird because we had the time scheduled for it, and he got the times messed up, and so it's like, okay, we'll just cancel this, and we'll have another show. And I stood up the other show, and I'm sitting, or no, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I think I was sitting in the other. I was making the channel
And
and
then you
everything.
started another show, and I
Yeah,
wasn't
and then
there.
he
I
and
missed
then
the
he
first
popped
part.
in, and he's like talking to me. We're going back and forth. We're shooting the bull, and it's like, oh, probably need to be respectful to his time, but it's like, um, yeah, because we've been talking for a while. It's like, okay, I'll just go ahead and start it now. So yeah, it started when nobody was ready. But yeah, I do like Scott. Here, he's a kindred spirit. I understand Scott. I like his
Yeah, I love Scott.
ADHD.
You can have John as an invite. He's proposing to be here sometime. He's great. You should interview him. He's great.
Oh,
I'm the
that's
first sponsor, John's sponsor. I think
Yeah,
the biggest fan. John's
I
biggest fan here.
I got my I got Tommy tomorrow. Oh, this is boat day. In case anybody doesn't know, happy boat day. I got Tommy tomorrow. I'll have Mario, a person named Mario Lena on Friday, and possibly on Wednesday or next Monday, I might have to take a break for a week, depending upon how things work. I might, or I might be able to move it later. I'm waiting to see. Um,
what is that? Did you say
oh, I might have to move the show later next week.
which day? Oh, all next week. Okay.
Yeah, I might, just depending. Got some upheaval. That's that stuff that Chrissy was talking about, the stuff I'm trying to opt out of. And she's saying, no, you don't want to. It's like, yeah, I do. Uh,
Okay,
yeah,
well, I probably do have to run. Thank you so much for being here. And it's so great talking to you, Ximena. And your story is very valuable, and maybe it'll help
Thank
someone.
you.
That's great.
yeah.
Hopefully
I'm
it
so
does.
Thank,
happy.
thank you so much for joining us, Amanda. So glad that you're here with the boat. And it's amazing to hear your story of how much that you've
I'm
been
going to
through,
pop off. Have a great
how
day,
much
guys.
you do, how much self
Love
care
you.
you've taken. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of all the work that you've done. And it's just amazing to hear. So many things that you mentioned we've talked about. Um, yeah, it was one of those things where it was kind of like, wow, how's this going to go? It's like, I'm a guy. I don't want to be, because you don't want to
I
be that.
know.
But yeah, it worked out great. I am so happy with you. I'm so happy for you that you're in a position that
Thank
you're in.
you.
I'm so glad that you've taken care of yourself and that you saw warning signs, and after things started to happen, you realize, hey, this is not worth it. And it's not okay. And I'm so
Yeah.
glad that you realize that. And to anybody in the chat or anybody who may see this, yes, it's not okay.
No,
Uh,
it's not okay. And always seek for help and always pay attention to your gut. Like if you have a gut feeling that that's not right, it probably isn't. So
cool. I'm going
yeah.
to go ahead and close this out.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for joining us, and
Thank
I
you for
hope you
having
all
me.
have a great day.
Bye.
If I can start.